wake up to the reality that the dollar isn't going to be worth a dime, that all they've saved, they've saved for nothing. They find out that the rich, as we've seen, and I love it now. Now that I've been saying this, I don't know how many years, that the gap between the rich and the poor is the widest in the U.S. than any of the industrialized nations. Now, just now, mainstream media is finally saying that. So as they see the richer get richer and them getting poorer, what do they have to lose by taking to the streets? Nothing. So what we're going to look at and I want to make this clear also. We predicted the crash of 2010. It's in the Trends Journal. It was a top trend that came out last December, a year ago. What we made it perfectly clear it would not be an equity market crash because it was a rigged market and it was going to be cheap interest rates that keep floating this. And we also said there would be schemes undreamed of that would keep propping it up. And we saw the scheme that just came out as a result of the Dodd-Frank bill that the Federal Reserve has loaned, and under the table dealt over $13 trillion all over the world to all different kinds of companies. General Electric, Harley-Davidson, McDonald's, Credit Suisse, Deutsche Bank, the Tokyo Banks, Bank of England. The con game is that they're conning us with the bank deals. So, yeah, they're propping it up, but what we're saying is that it's collapsed. And the headline story, Alex, for the Trends Journal's top trends that are coming out in a few weeks for 2011 is Wake Up Call 2011. Only the blind, the inept, the ideologically driven, and little kids aren't going to know the deal. And the deal is this. Europe has collapsed. There is no EU. It's gone. They're not going to be able to bail out Portugal. They won't be able to bail out Spain. Ireland is toast. They're not going to be able to salvage Italy with its 120% of debt to GDP ratio. They won't salvage Greece. The Germans are going to go off on their own. There's going to be a global currency crisis. It's happening in front of us. Why do you think why can't they wake up and see why gold is trading at $1,400 an ounce? There is no end in sight, but the end will come when the markets collapse, and we believe that there's going to be a global financial crisis, a crack up in 2011 that people will no longer be able to deny, and the world banks will no longer be able to cover up by printing more of their digital money that's not worth the paper it's not printed on.
Well, Gerald, we know that the mega central banks have wanted to consolidate power, but now they're getting desperate. They realize they've destroyed things so bad, they're finally actually trying to cut taxes, but it looks like too little too late. But here's the model. Here is the Ireland banks are all for sale. Central banker, this is out of CNBC, and he went on to say, they are for sale as far as I'm concerned. I've always been an advocate for foreign banks to own small countries. And he goes on here, this is their central banker. They told him a year ago they had the best economy in Europe. They set him up, they brought him in, and I've seen it in the German news. The Germans are saying they're getting ready to leave the euro if this continues, and I've seen the financial breakdowns. This is mathematically impossible to pay back, and the system knows that. So they're just trying to suck as much as they can while telling everybody that everything's fine.
Exactly. And by the way, that's where this whole WikiLeaks thing comes in. I don't know if you saw the video of me on Fox about a week and a half ago when the WikiLeaks story broke and how they set me up. They had 4 against me.
Stay there. Tell us about it when we get back. I didn't see it. I mean, you're on so much television, I miss a lot of it, but I did see it linked on our site, but I didn't have a chance to watch it. Tell us about that. We'll get into this congressman saying the Congress is there to serve the banks. You can't make this up. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Gerald Celente. Let's go right back to Gerald Celente. Gerald, I'm going to dig it out of my stack. It's a raw story with the video, with the quote of the congressman saying, hey, Congress is here for the bankers. I guess oxygen is here for them. They are trying to pass the carbon tax to taxes on carbon dioxide, and J.P. Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs literally are the main funders. So I guess the air is theirs because they waddle around and tell us what to do. But as you said, everybody's starting to wake up to them. But what about when you look at Ireland, cutting the benefits that are paid for, raising the taxes, admitting everything goes to the bankers? What is this hubris, this arrogance? Why are they so, like Marie Antoinette saying, let them eat cake? I mean, is there a method to their madness?
No, they're out of touch, and they should be. They live lives that are far, more protected than us. Every time they arrive anywhere, they roll out the red carpet. It's one big, circle jerk. Everybody makes everybody feel so great and important. Look, again, with these WikiLeaks, look what they do. They show us these photo ops, all the glad handing, all the big smiles, and you find out they're nothing but a bunch of crooks, thieves, criminals, buffoons, suck-ups and bow-downs, and they call it the world leaders. Look at Berlusconi. The world stage is one big burlesque coney. So they are totally out of touch. As I said, their attitude is you go to work, you bring home the money, I'll tell you what to do with it. I'm smarter than you, I'm privileged, and I walk on red carpets. So, of course, they're out of touch. Look, Alex, what happened in England, as we're seeing the same thing now happening where they're promoting, the next royal wedding, as they're making it impossible for kids to go to college, it's not even let them eat cake. It's let them eat nothing. They could care less. They're better than we are. There's a photo that we have in the Trends Journal of Hillary Clinton looking, yeah, it's the White Shoe Club. So they're totally detached. And so when it happens, and the police, unfortunately, are becoming, enforcers for the crime bosses. They beat up the people. The orders are, don't touch the top criminals. Have you seen anybody go to jail from any of the big banks, the Lehman Brothers, the Merrill Lynch mob, the Goldman Sachs
No, they've
gang?
been burning little bitty, low-level guys in million-dollar deals, trillion-dollar swindles, and they just roll the red carpet out, and Congress just grovels when they see Greenspan. They just fall to their knees and go, my lord, my king, rape me.
So the cops have you don't touch the big guys. They got the orders. And they can't beat the crime guys on the street, the Bloods and the Crips and the rest of them, which is a growing organization. That's an industry that's thriving.
They can't beat the Mexican mafia, crimes exploding, but they can I've seen old ladies pulled over in Austin with cops walking up with their hands on their guns with two old women in a convertible, Seabreeze car or whatever. But then when they see real criminals, they just seem to grovel in fear.
So that's what's happened. The cops have become the crime bosses, the enforcers for the crime bosses. By the way, crime, that's going to be one of the Crime Wave 2011. This thing's starting to break loose, and as you pointed out, they're cooking the numbers. What a surprise. They cook the inflation numbers. They cook the unemployment numbers. They cook the numbers about how many people we've killed they've killed in Iraq and Afghanistan. And they're lying about the crime numbers. It's going to get much worse, and it's worldwide. And criminal activity